Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas, and today I want to talk about the prospect of Resident Evil 9 being open world. There are leaks and there are rumours that the game will indeed be open world, but what exactly is open world? If someone asks you, name an open world game, what would you say? Grand Theft Auto, Legend of Zelda, Skyrim, Fallout? Well, those are all true to a degree. But what if I said to you, that was open world? What if I said to you, that wasn't open world? What if I said to you, that was open world? And what if I said to you, that was also open world? What would you say? Naturally, I think you'd say, no, none of them are open world. However, everybody's perception of what an open world truly is different. Look at Grand Theft Auto, for example. Grand Theft Auto 5 is considered probably an open world. It's a city, it has suburbs, it has a lot to do. Yeah, it's open world. However, Skyrim is perhaps more of an open world. If we take Skyrim as the base of an open world, could you imagine Resident Evil being like Skyrim? No, you can't, because that would be utterly ridiculous. And no, Capcom won't do that. I can almost guarantee that Capcom will not make Resident Evil 9 like Skyrim. If we take Grand Theft Auto 4 as an example, is that an open world? Well, yes it is. However, it's not as open as what it could be. It's not as open as Skyrim yet again. If we look at Grand Theft Auto 3, it becomes even less of an open world. If we look at Breath of the Wild as another example, that is a vast open world, similar to how Skyrim is. However, if you could imagine Resident Evil 9 being in a city, for example, much like we did in Resident Evil 3. Now, if you could wander the streets of Raccoon, it won't be Raccoon City, but if we could wander the streets of Raccoon City in Resident Evil 3, does that not make it open world? Yes, there were restrictions and limitations. However, there are restrictions and limitations when it comes to something like Grand Theft Auto. You can't take Nico in every single building in Grand Theft Auto 4, can you? No, you can't. So is it truly open world? It's a vast city, yes it is, with suburbs and different areas. I consider it open world, but some may not, because you can't have that freedom of it being an open world. So when we talk about Resident Evil 9 being an open world, no, it won't be like Skyrim. No, it won't be like Legend of Zelda. However, those two are the examples that people think of most when they think of vast open world. Now, will Resident Evil 9 truly be open world? No, I don't think it will. Because once again, if we go back to an example of Resident Evil Village, that was much more of an open space than its predecessor, Resident Evil 7. Same again with Resident Evil 4. Now, this expanded on the original, and I would consider this probably the most open worldly of all the Resident Evils, because there is so much freedom and space to go within the village, the castle, and yes, you go to the island and it is a bit more restricted there. However, the village area and setting is very open if you think about it logically, especially in the remake. Maybe not necessarily in the original on the GameCube, PS2 and all its subsequent re-releases, but the remake gives you so much more freedom. For example, I won't go too much into spoilers, I'll go as far as the lake. If you know everyone knows the lake in Resident Evil 4, they know what happens there, but that is so much more expanded, it's so much more open. So the idea of Resident Evil 9, a game being open world, perhaps Resident Evil 4 was the test for that. And Resident Evil 9 will be a bit more open than Resident Evil 4 Remake. So when we hear the rumours of Resident Evil 9 being an open world, we need to stop thinking of Grand Theft Auto, Zelda, Elder Scrolls. Stop thinking about that, because open world can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What it could mean is that Resident Evil 9 will be the most open world of all the Resident Evil games. If we look at the original trilogy, especially 1 and 2, they were very enclosed and very linear. They were not the definition of open world. Yes, you could, for example, go anywhere in the Spencer Mansion. However, that's not an open world. That's just a contained environment. However, by the time we got to Resident Evil 4, it was no longer a contained environment because you could go many different places. Hence, the addition of being an open world. Let's look at Shenmue, for example. If you remember Shenmue, if you don't know it, go and Google it now. It is one of the very early open world games which ever existed. If you could imagine Resident Evil 9 being in that kind of environment, in a town, a city that isn't necessarily you can go anywhere, but it is open. So an open world can literally mean anything from something like Resident Evil 4 Remake to something like The Elder Scrolls, where it is completely open. The very definition of open world is the problem. And these people that have interpreted the rumours of Resident Evil 9 being like Skyrim or being like Fallout, it's just that open, are completely wrong. No, Resident Evil 9 is not like that. It will not be like that. That is a very bad move. Capcom know this. They've done their tests, they've worked on things, they've done all kinds of things. They make Monster Hunter, for example. They know what will work. Monster Hunter, the latest one, is made in the RE engine. So I think that's what got a lot of people worried in the first place, that we could end up seeing Resident Evil 9 like Monster Hunter Wilds. No, it won't be. The idea of an open world will be very much like what we see in Resident Evil 4, but perhaps expanded just a little bit more. That is where the term of open world in Resident Evil 9 has come from. Now, these are just my thoughts. These are just what I've kind of put together after doing research, consideration, writing a script for this, and just making sure what I say is exactly what I think. Because it is an opinion at the end of the day. I could be wrong, but I very much doubt I am wrong. Resident Evil 9 will not be like Skyrim. It will not be like Grand Theft Auto. It will be a bit more expansive than Resident Evil 4 Remake. Anyway, what do you think about it? Resident Evil 9 is clearly on the horizon. It's coming out very soon in 2025. It's almost guaranteed at this point, even though we still haven't heard of it as of making this video. But let me know what you think in the comments below, because I'd love to hear it. It's a very heated topic, the whole open world thing for Resident Evil 9. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.